Triple Helix is about government, university, and business interacting. They always do. Sometimes better, sometimes worse. Sometimes universities just do their thing and they don't bother. Sometimes business doesn't really think universities can help and they don't go to them. Sometimes government thinks that free markets go better and they go their own way. Sometimes governments force industry and academia to work together when it's not necessary, and very often you need to have just really free research because the future is going to depend on free research. What you can do with business is the short-term future. Nobody in business is going to be doing research on very long-term things. So sometimes, you know, some of the policies that force this collaboration are not right. But other policies that get this collaboration going at a decent level and where government actually funds this is very good. It can make a huge difference. And in fact, if you don't have it, especially in the knowledge society, you're in trouble. If you try to get business to fund everything that the universities do, you will find that they won't, because they can't. There are competitive costs that business cannot carry. So you always need government. In fact, most of the time, governments will do more in R&D than any venture capital or anybody would have done. So if you don't have government-funded R&D, you're probably going to be falling behind. So you do need that to happen. So government and universities have to work together in guaranteeing a future and in guaranteeing things that could make the country competitive. Then they'll hand it over to business when business can start either through venture capital or through their own. I mean, if you have a big company, big companies can buy directly and sometimes can pay some of the development costs in universities or in their own labs. And generally, you need innovation inside companies to be able to correspond, to relate to university research. You can't just have a business person who's doing marketing talking to a high-level scientist, because they just don't have that much in common. The marketing guy could certainly say what they need to the R&D department of the company or to the specialists within the company, and they can in turn talk to universities. Very often, one of the reasons why there isn't enough collaboration is because the wrong people are made to relate. You have to have proper bridges. So definitely, innovation requires constant innovation, which is absolutely indispensable in this paradigm, in the ICT revolution, in the knowledge society. You've got to have this collaboration, but it's got to be organized in a proper way, and government has to help it happen in the best possible way. So definitely it has to do. But of course, it depends on the periods, and it's more likely that governments will fund R&D research, both in what's happening and in the future technologies, in these periods when finance is not calling the shots, like in the installation periods. You know, finance is taking control of everything. Then after the bubble, they've got to be, you know, separated from that control, and control has to be handed over to production capital and people who are innovating directly. So in that time, it's more likely that governments will be intervening. They did. If you look at the US, for instance, in the 50s and 60s, they were the ones who did everything. In fact, the internet until 90-something was completely government funded and government guided and everything. Then it's handed over to business for them to make money.